See if I match my thumbnail. I do think big tech is overrated. It's kind of shown its true self in the past couple of years. Let's talk about it.
A tiny disclaimer. This video and the intent of it is not to bash big tech firms. I'm just a realist and I like to share some of my observations that I'm seeing in the industry. As someone that works in big tech, I just kind of want to share my thoughts with the peoples on the inters of net to see if we're all have the same thoughts.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is...
Be reasonable here, okay? There is an appeal to wanting to work in big tech, or if you already work in big tech. You have bragging rights, being able to tell people and flex that you work for Google or Meta or AWS. There's let's not act like, people don't flex. The golden resume, having it on your resume, and being able to showcase that you actually worked for a big tech company and that you were actually able to pass a really freaking hard technical interview is a huge flex. You get really bomb salaries and benefits. You get to collaborate with really, really smart people and work on really, really cool things that have customer facing impact and build a legacy. On the Google search page, like maybe you were behind writing a more efficient algorithm that helps search indexing work much faster. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna act like there's not, some sexiness to wanting to work in big tech. You know what I'm saying? So here's the harsh truth. When you work for a publicly traded company, most of these big tech firms, publicly traded companies, you can purchase their stock in the stock market, and you can buy and sell. Usually if you're an employee, that's usually an added benefit, which is restricted stock units or an employee stock purchase plan where you can purchase their stock at a discounted price. And then with restricted units, it's a gifting of shares that have a vesting schedule. And when you receive those shares and they vest, it will get deposited into your brokerage account, and you can either choose to keep them or you can sell them at a profit. But all I'm saying, friends, is publicly traded companies have number one goal is profit. And when it's profit and performance, that's their main focus, and it's not always people. Based off the company's performance, they have to report their revenues and their losses every quarter, and it's to the SEC and some other government agencies that we don't care about. But they also have to answer to a board of shareholders, and depending on how well or not so well they performed each quarter, if they were really successful a quarter, they pay out their reward system as dividends to the board of shareholders. And the board of shareholders are a mix of other executives and people that have invested or have given money into the company. The point I'm trying to drive, friends, is that these companies could perform really well all year and will still have layoffs. Is that a lot of really good, talented people were massively laid off. And I'm not saying that every big tech firm can not afford to not lay off in order to save costs and reduce, but a lot of them actually could afford to keep their talent. And the claim to fame was in 2020 during COVID, there was a overhiring, so they needed an excuse to lay off people. I kind of call BS on that, but that's none of my business. But I wanted to say that 2022 is when the trend in bloodbath in tech really took precedence. I don't want to be a dream killer. If it's your absolute dream to work in big tech for a Google or Microsoft, you should absolutely pursue that with everything that you have. These are not bad companies. They're actually really great companies, but I just wanted to share the harsh realities of what could possibly happen if you were to work in big tech. It was also my dream too. I actually was getting ready to interview with Google in February of 2022, but the recruiter reached back out to me and told me that the layoffs had just begun. I interviewed with AWS and I actually got an offer. I decided not to go with it because of personal reasons. And so it was my dream too, until I saw the trend of layoffs. And I realized that I prefer financial security and stability over just a name on my resume, but that's just me. But I just wanted to share the truth of, is big tech worth it? I feel like that's subjective. I feel like it's subjective. For me personally, I do work in big tech. I don't work for any of the big five, but I work for a telecom giant. And I would say there's a yes and a no. The yes for me is the salaries and the benefit is absolutely amazing. For someone like me that is working in tech right now, when I used to think about how I was so happy to make $13 an hour, how I had an eating disorder and I always had little part-time jobs when I was in school. So for me, I would say the biggest pro is the financial gain from it, and also getting to work on really cool projects and having a sense of pride about the work that I do day to day and with my team. For me, I would say there is some pros, but then there are also cons because you kind of have to be accepting of the layoff culture and that it is possible while you're working. So it's up to you. Well, here's some food for thought. Like, big tech companies are really great companies with a lot of benefits, but I think considering everything that's happening in the tech industry, just in the workforce in general, layoffs are inevitable. But here's some food for thought. Like, I don't want to be a dream killer, but there's a lot of great companies out there that are not big tech firms that are still looking for technical talent. And that could be retail chains like Target, Walmart, Best Buy, the oil business, beauty. There's a lot of companies out there that don't have the sexy name and the bragging rights, but you might be able to find a wealth of opportunities if you look outside of big tech, because the tech industry is always looking for talent and the workforce has shifted with this whole big AI push. But I just wanted to leave you with some thoughts to consider that it's foot in the door wanting to work in tech, but I want you to kind of look at everything from a bigger scope and not a limited lens and base it off of a big name. So if you like this video, friends, give me a thumbs up, drop down in the comments and tell me your thoughts. I am trying to build community on here on YouTube, and thanks for watching. All my best.